Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat Podcast. I am your host, Lady K, and I'm going to tell you about today's show, which is called Testimony. And Testimony talks about when you go through certain things in your life and you're at a hard place and you stop to ponder and ask yourself, why am I going through this? But you got to remember, in order for you to have a testimony, there is a test. So I need you to understand what you're going through is temporary and there is light at the end. So definitely tune in right now. See you soon.
The following podcast is a Lady K Enterprises production.
Lady K.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for all women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be speaked upon, such as relationships, personal development, health and wellness, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Kalima, aka Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Testimony. And I would like to talk about this for a moment. So, of course, we all know in order to have a testimony, there has to be a test. So many of us complain about the things that we experience and we actually allow it to cripple us. I don't understand why we do that. I understand when we are in the midst of some things and you're probably questioning yourself or you're probably questioning God and saying to him, why am I going through this? I don't like the way it makes me feel. I'm having a hard time right now and I'm just trying to cope and get past that. See, when you're in the midst of something, I completely understand that it's hard to keep a positive mind at times. And it's hard sometimes just to keep pushing because you feel like giving up. Listen, I get it because I'm a human being myself. But we all know at the end of the day, we have to continue to push and we have to continue to make every day better than the next because, listen, life is going to throw curveballs. And we are not always going to be ready for the curveballs. But I can say this to you, when the curveballs do come to surface, we have to put it in our minds that this shall overcome, this shall pass, this is temporary because there is something greater. And again, it all results back into having a testimony. So I want to say this to you. When you go through certain things, you have to ask yourself, what did I learn from it? And not only what did you learn from it, but how can you make sure that history do not repeat itself, especially if it's a situation that you can control. It was brought to another level because you didn't control it the first time because you didn't understand it. But now that you have a better understanding, you're saying to yourself, listen, I'm not going to let this happen again. And when I do it better or correct myself the next time, I'm going to have a better result because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. You learn from your mistakes, especially if you make it over and over. And a lot of people too, I'm going to have to share this. A lot of people keep saying, why do I keep going through the same thing over and over? But it's just different scenarios. If that is the case, that is definitely something where you have to evaluate yourself and say, why does this keep repeating itself? Why does this keep happening to me? Why is it the fact that it's different people, different faces, but the same thing? Because you have not learned your lesson. There is a test in it, and you have to learn what the test is. So I want to talk some things about testing, right? When you are going through a test, 3 things are going to happen, right? Of course, number 1 is the test. Number 2 is your response. Then number 3 is the results of it. What happens at the end. So going back to the test, There's a lot of different things that happens. Listen, there's some things that's even out of your control. There's even some things that I know that you probably wish, again, that you never experienced. And I can definitely understand. However, like I said with part 2, it's all about your response. So I'm just going to say, for a perfect example, what if you had a traumatic experience, something that, played a major part in your life, and you just don't know what to do with yourself because that is so, what's the word I'm looking for? That is so on your brain and you can't see nothing else past it. Especially if you've been through a trauma, right? And years has passed and nothing has been done yet. See, that's when you got to ask yourself a question. You say, you know what? I'm tired of reliving this situation. Let me do something about it. And your simple thing about it, your response can be like, you know what? I'm going to go to therapy. And I actually commend you for that, because there is nothing wrong with therapy. So I think a lot of people feel like, they don't like the fact that they have to go and sit to someone and that one tell you what to do. But in all actuality, a therapist doesn't tell you what to do. They can give you recommendations if you ask, but at the same time, you are there to acknowledge what you have experienced. And yes, the therapist can give you an idea how to go about it, but at the end of the day, you get to make that decision yourself to see, okay, I'm here, I'm talking about it, and maybe that's what you had to do because you suppressed it for so long. And I definitely recommend that too. I think it's imperative to get it out of your mouth of whatever you are experiencing. So many people are quiet from the things that happen into their life, and they are so embarrassed to speak about it. And I want to say you have no shame, especially if it was something that was out of your control and somebody took advantage of you. And again, I can highly empathize and sympathize with you, but I do want to let you know it is not healthy, and you have to want the fact that you want healing, because 1, you deserve the healing, and 2, you deserve to be happy, because that's the results. That's number 3. Because remember, I told you this, the test, your response, in the results. And your results can be, I actually have an enjoyable life, because who wants to actually walk around being miserable? Yes, that's actually a choice. When certain experience arises, you can have a negative effect to it. And as a human being, I can understand, but then you have to ask yourself, well, how long do you want to be in that mess? How long do you want to keep yourself as a victim? Because that's what you're doing. How long do you want to coddle yourself? Because that's what you're doing. When do you say to yourself that I had enough? I am ready to face this circumstance, and I am ready to live my best life, because God has gave me a life. Despite the fact of some of the things that I've been through. Listen, let me tell you something, guys. I've been through some stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been through some hell. It can be anything from a relationship or somewhere in a business, and you feel defeated. It's normal for you to feel defeated. Please don't think that, just because that one is in the spotlight, they don't go through stuff. You got to understand, the higher you go, there are new demons. So do not think for once, just because somebody is smiling all the time, you think they're making a lot of money, they have a great life. They're still going through something. We all go through something. But at the end of the day, the key thing is when you go through that test and then you respond to it the way you do, and then the results that play, that is your testimony. And please believe me, somebody out there needs to hear your testimony, because you know why? Because somewhere out there is specifically designed for you, or you are their assignment. You are there to help them. You are there to share your testimony, and you have no idea who is waiting to hear from you. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you receive this episode. Again, I just want to let you know you have to have a test. And when that test does arise, again, your response and your results will catapult. So everyone, you have a great night. Thank you for continuing to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube at the Lady K Chat Podcast, and at my website at www.ladykenterprisesinc.com. And you have a wonderful night.
Lady K.